The fundamental forces of nature possess an inherent, untamable quality. You cannot grasp a handful of moonlight. You cannot imprison the rushing wind. No matter the strength of your grip or the sturdiness of your cage, these elements slip through, existing on a plane beyond physical constraint. The Sigma male represents a profound human manifestation of this very principle. He is not defined by the loud, hierarchical posturing of the alpha, nor by the communal, supportive role of the beta. His existence is a testament to a different kind of power, one that is silent, self-contained, and sovereign. Statistical analyses and psychological profiles suggest that a very small minority of the male population, perhaps less than 5%, operates from this unique psychological framework. They navigate the complex tapestry of human society according to an internal, often inscrutable code, a personal constitution that remains largely misunderstood by the outside world. When this autonomy is challenged, when rules are imposed, boundaries are erected, or expectations are demanded, the Sigma male does not react in predictable ways of fight or flight. Instead, he engages in a series of psychologically sophisticated maneuvers that are so subtle, so precise, that they can dismantle a controller's sense of reality, leaving them bewildered and questioning their own methods and motives. From employing strategic invisibility to weaponizing a profound and unsettling indifference, the Sigma male's repertoire of responses is a masterclass in maintaining absolute autonomy. 1. The unflinching mirror, forcing a confrontation with the self. The most psychologically devastating reaction a Sigma male enacts is not one of outward aggression, but of inward reflection forced upon his would-be controller. When faced with an attempt to manipulate or dominate, his response is rarely one of direct confrontation. He does not engage in heated arguments, raise his voice, or waste energy on lengthy explanations meant to justify his position. Such overt displays are the currency of the very hierarchical games he rejects. Instead, his reaction is almost surgical in its precision. He becomes a living, breathing mirror, reflecting back not his own insecurities, but those of the person attempting to control him. Every demand, every manipulative tactic, every push to bend will becomes a stark illumination of the controller's own hidden fears, unacknowledged desires, and profound insecurities. Sigma males possess a preternatural understanding of human behavior. They are master perceivers, able to read the subtext of conversations, the micro-expressions that flit across a face, and the subtle shifts in tone that betray true intention. This perceptual acuity allows him to respond not from a place of emotional reactivity, but from a place of calm, detached observation. His continued adherence to his own internal code, in the face of external pressure, creates a dissonance that is deeply unsettling for the controller. The controller's expectation is for reaction, compliance, defiance, fear, or anger. The Sigma male offers none of these. He offers only a serene, unyielding presence. 2. The phantom in the machine, mastering strategic invisibility. Within the structured confines of modern life, the corporate office, the social club, the extended family, control often manifests through systems, hierarchies, rules, procedures, and unspoken social contracts. When a Sigma male identifies an attempt to control him within such a system, his response is not to rebel overtly and risk expulsion or conflict. Instead, he executes a masterful strategy of becoming a ghost within the machine. He does not vanish in a physical sense. His body may be present at his desk, at the meeting, or at the dinner table. Rather, he makes himself invisible in the ways that matter to the system of control. He identifies the gaps, the procedural blind spots, the unmonitored channels, and the vulnerabilities within the structure, and he navigates them with the precision of a master locksmith. This requires a deep understanding of the system's mechanics and the psychology of those who operate it. He understands that overt resistance makes him a target, while sycophantic compliance gives away his leverage. Therefore, he chooses a third path, strategic engagement. He fulfills his obligations meticulously, but never in a way that provides his superiors or manipulators with undue leverage. He participates in social interactions, but without exposing his true thoughts or vulnerabilities. He contributes to projects, but without committing more of his internal self than he willingly chooses to give. He operates on the principle of minimum visible effort for maximum autonomous gain. 3. The expose of insecurity, revealing control as a manifestation of fear. A Sigma male perceives the world through a lens of cause and effect, of underlying motivation. When someone attempts to control him, he instantly looks past the surface-level action and directly at the root cause. He understands, with crystalline clarity, that the need to dominate another human being is rarely, if ever, about the person being dominated. It is almost always an externalized symptom of an internal sickness. The compulsion to control is a mirror that reflects the controller's own fears, insecurities, and lack of self-mastery. The more vehemently someone pushes, the more obvious it becomes that their behavior is a desperate projection of their own inner chaos and unresolved turmoil. Instead of meeting this chaos with matching energy, the Sigma male responds with an almost supernatural calm. He does not give a controller the emotional reaction they crave, the fight that would validate their own aggressive posture, or the submission that would soothe their fragile ego. His every move is deliberate, his words measured, his actions controlled. This behavioral consistency becomes a living demonstration that their attempt to control are not merely ineffective, but are entirely irrelevant to his state of being. This exposure is a quiet, psychological masterpiece. By refusing to play his assigned role in their drama, he forces the director to look at the script they have written. Why does the script demand his subjugation? What flaw in the playwright's character does this demand reveal? For the alchemy of adversity, converting obstruction into fuel. Where others see a wall, the Sigma male sees a ramp. When confronted with attempts to control, limit, or obstruct him, he does not waste his precious energy on lamenting the injustice or engaging in a futile head-on collision. Instead, he performs a form of psychological alchemy, silently transmuting that obstructive energy into pure, motivational fuel. Every push against him, every restrictive rule, every attempt to box him in is absorbed, analyzed, and converted into a challenge that serves to sharpen his mind, harden his resolve, and enhance his capabilities. This is not about simple stubbornness or prideful refusal to yield. It is a highly advanced form of strategy and self-mastery. He views control not as a personal threat to be feared, but as an environmental condition to be exploited for growth. He studies the attempt, discerns the intention behind it, and then strategically redirects the energy toward his own advantage. If someone tries to dictate his choices, he uses that pressure to refine his decision-making algorithms, learning to anticipate future obstacles with greater accuracy. If restrictions are placed on his actions, he quietly and meticulously works around them, thereby honing his skills in patience, precision, and adaptability. Every effort to control him becomes a silent tutorial, a live-fire exercise to test his resilience and develop competencies that others will never know he possesses. 5. The Grandmaster Foresight, over-preparing for your every move. A Sigma male does not wait for a control attempt to manifest before he begins his defense. His entire mode of operation is predicated on profound and continuous state of anticipation. He is a perpetual student of human nature, constantly studying patterns, reading unconscious cues, and predicting potential moves of those around him long before they have even consciously decided to act. Every conceivable attempt at manipulation is met with layers of invisible preparation, a web of contingency plans and counter-strategies designed to render external influence utterly null and void. This is not paranoia. It is a hallmark of a master strategist. He understands that the moment someone reveals a desire to control him, they are inadvertently revealing a treasure trove of information about their own weaknesses, priorities, and operational patterns. He quietly catalogs his data and then systematically ensures it can never be used as a weapon against him. He over-prepares not for the purpose of direct confrontation, but to neutralize the very need for it. If a controller expects a specific reaction, the Sigma male is already 2 steps ahead, having calculated a range of responses that perfectly protect his autonomy while allowing him to retain command of the situation's trajectory. 6. The Theater of the Absurd, transforming control into a private comedy. There are moments when a Sigma male, upon recognizing control attempt, chooses not to respond with stoic indifference or strategic analysis, but with a subtle, sophisticated form of mockery. He transforms the entire situation into a piece of private theater, a comedy of errors in which the would-be controller is the unwitting star. There is no overt shouting, no dramatic pronouncements, just a barely perceptible intellectual ridicule that exposes the sheer absurdity of the attempt to dominate an autonomous individual. In this silent performance, the person trying to control him becomes a punchline of a joke only the Sigma male fully understands. He possesses a unique ability to respond in ways that are outwardly calm and measured, yet carry a sharp, satirical undertone detectable only to someone with a similar perceptual acuity. The attempts to dictate his actions, manipulate his decisions, or pressure him into compliance become a source of his private amusement. He may, for instance, follow instructions to the absolute letter, but with a timing or slight, exaggerated precision that reveals the ridiculousness and pointlessness of the original directive. It is a quiet, surgical form of mockery that requires no confrontation, only a supreme awareness and a deft touch. 7. The unsettling chime, the laughter devoid of mirth. In the midst of a control attempt, a Sigma male might respond with a sound that is far removed from the laughter of joy or camaraderie. It is a quiet, restrained, and often internalized exhalation, a laugh without humor. This subtle acoustic signal is not an expression of amusement. It is an act of acknowledgement and dismissal. It communicates more eloquently than any string of words ever could, that he sees directly through the attempt, comprehends the fragile motive behind it, and is fully cognizant of its ultimate futility. That faint, almost spectral chuckle carries a dense payload of meaning. I see you, and your efforts are meaningless. The power of this response lies entirely in its subtlety and its psychological impact. It does not invite a counterargument or provoke a more aggressive response. It simply hangs in the air, a quiet, dissonant chime that disrupts the controller's rhythm. The person trying to dominate him will sense it, even if they cannot consciously identify the source of their sudden unease. There is something profoundly unnerving about a person who refuses to react with the expected fear or anger, whose amusement or disdain is so understated yet so unequivocal that it begins to erode the controller's confidence from within. 8. The behavioral cartographer, studying the controller with predatory focus. When a Sigma male detects an attempt to control him, a deep, instinctual switch is flipped within his psyche. He does not descend into emotional turmoil. Instead, his consciousness sharpens into a state of hyper-focused observation. He becomes a behavioral cartographer, and the controller is his new map to be charted. Every spoken word, every fleeting gesture, every subtle shift in tone is collected as valuable data. He begins to study the individual with the intense, single-minded focus of a predator, not out of desire for malicious harm, but for the sake of strategic precision and future immunity. He observes how the controller moves, how they think, how they construct their manipulations. He notes their rhetorical tricks, their emotional pressure points, and the timing of their influence attempts. To the untrained eye, the Sigma male appears calm, perhaps even disinterested. But behind that placid exterior is a formidable cognitive engine, mapping the controller's psychological patterns with the diligence of a strategist preparing for a long campaign. His analysis is not driven by a thirst for revenge. That would be too emotionally invested, too reactive. His purpose is purely defensive and informational, to ensure he can never be blindsided by this person or anyone like them ever again. Every control attempt becomes a live, immersive seminar in advanced human psychology, and he is its most diligent student. 9. The reflective surface, mirroring control to expose hypocrisy. Confronted with control attempt, the Sigma male often bypasses obvious defiance in favor of a more subtle and psychologically complex tactic. He becomes a mirror. He does not simply reject the controlling behavior. He reflects it back at its source, not with the intent of outright humiliation or to start a conflict, but to expose the underlying flaws, contradictions, and insecurities that fuel the need to dominate. Every push, every demand, every manipulative word is carefully captured and reflected in a way that illuminates the controller's own hypocrisy. This mirroring is rarely a crude, immediate imitation. It is a sophisticated, surgical process. He subtly adapts the controller's own tactics, tone, or strategies, and allows them to play out in a slightly altered context that reveals their inherent futility or double standards. For example, if a manager attempts to micromanage his every task, the Sigma male might, in turn, begin to engage with the manager using the same level of meticulous, overbearing inquiry about the manager's own decisions and the rationale behind company policies. thereby highlighting the arbitrary and oppressive nature of the original micromanagement. The controller's insistence on dictating terms becomes transparently ridiculous because the Sigma male is holding up a flawless mirror, making the controller's own behavior undeniable and uncomfortable to witness. 10. The unseen evaluator, framing control as a test of character. When a Sigma male perceives an attempt to control him, he often reframes the entire interaction. He does not interpret as a personal attack or a challenge that must be met with equal force. Instead, he treats it as a spontaneous test, an ongoing, real-world experiment designed to reveal the true, unvarnished character of the person attempting to exert dominance. Every directive issued, every word spoken, every manipulative tactic employed is treated as a data point. He observes how the controller behaves under the pressure of his non-compliance, how far they are willing to stretch their ethics, and where their professed principles begin to bend and eventually break. He does not confront the tester immediately, as that would contaminate the results of the experiment. Instead, he engages just enough to allow the controller to reveal their hand. He watches carefully to see if they resort to intimidation, deceit, flattery, or charm. He notes meticulously whether they adhere to their stated values or abandon them the moment those values become inconvenient to their goal of domination. Every inconsistency, every lapse in integrity, every subtle manipulation is carefully cataloged in his mental ledger, creating a comprehensive profile for all future interactions. 11. The architect of egress, crafting invisible exit strategies. A foundational element of the Sigma male's sovereignty is his perpetual readiness to disengage. Upon sensing the earliest stirrings of control attempt, his mind instinctively begins designing pathways of egress. He does not wait for the situation to escalate to a point where confrontation is inevitable. Instead, he quietly engineers a series of invisible exit strategies that render any attempt at dominance ineffective before it can even properly begin. He understands that the most potent form of resistance is not to stand and fight on another's terms, but to remain fundamentally untouchable and unentangled in their web of expectations, rules, and manipulations. He mentally maps every scenario, anticipating potential conflicts, subtle pressures, and coercive tactics. For each potentiality, he designs a safe, clean, and consequence-free escape route. This is not an act of cowardice or avoidance. It is a pinnacle of strategic foresight. By preparing these exits in advance, he ensures that all control attempts lead to a dead end. The person trying to dominate him may believe they have built a cage with sturdy leverage, but in reality, they have constructed it around a phantom. The Sigma male can simply step through the bars that do not yet exist for his captor. Whether this means leaving a toxic work environment, sidestepping familial drama, or gracefully disengaging from a manipulative relationship, he moves with silent and deliberate purpose, leaving no handle for retaliation and no opportunity for a dramatic finale. 12. The sovereign mind, detaching mentally while engaging physically. Perhaps the most extraordinary of the Sigma male's reactions is his ability to perform a perfect psychological split. When faced with someone trying to control him, he often responds with a facade that can be easily mistaken for compliance or cooperation. On the surface, he may appear engaged, agreeable, and accommodating. He will participate in the conversation, contribute to the project, or fulfill the obligation. However, beneath this veneer of participation, his inner self is completely and utterly untethered from the proceedings. Mentally, he detaches. He does not internalize the pressure, absorb the expectations, or accept the manipulative framing of the situation. This mental detachment is not a sign of apathy or indifference. It is the ultimate strategic maneuver. By engaging physically and socially without ever surrendering his mental and emotional sovereignty, he maintains total control over the only thing that truly matters, his inner world. He can sit through lectures, participate in brainstorming sessions, and attend social gatherings, all while simultaneously observing, analyzing, and planning his next autonomous moves, fully aware that he alone is the final arbiter of his choices. Conclusion: the futility of the cage. In the nuanced psychological landscape of the Sigma male, control is never a straightforward transaction. It is a complex dance where he leads, even when he appears to be following. Anyone who attempts to dominate him quickly discovers that their efforts are not merely futile. They are profoundly revealing unexpectedly instructive, and often quietly humbling. The Sigma male's responses form a cohesive philosophy of autonomy. He detaches while engaging, transforms obstruction into fuel, mirrors hypocrisy to expose it, and reframes domination as a test of the dominator's own character. Each reaction is a calculated, deliberate, and extraordinary application of subtle power, ensuring that his autonomy remains intact, his presence unmanipulable, and his inner world entirely his own. What elevates the Sigma male beyond a mere nonconformist or a loner is his unparalleled ability to turn every external pressure into an internal advantage. He studies, anticipates, and adapts, making his every move a silent testament to self-mastery. He does not need to confront, argue, or fight because his independence is not a reaction to the world. It is a foundational principle of his existence. It is an unshakable state of being that does not require external validation or an opponent to resist. Attempting to control a Sigma male is indeed like trying to pin a shadow to the wall with your bare hands. The harder you press, the more you become aware of the solidity of the wall and the emptiness of your grasp, while the shadow remains immutable and free. By understanding these 12 reactions, we gain insight not only into the formidable nature of the Sigma male, but also into a deeper, universal lesson he embodies, that true power is internal, quiet, and strategic. It cannot be seized because it is given. It cannot be forced because it is cultivated from within. To attempt control over someone who has mastered this truth is to confront, in the most personal way possible, the ultimate futility of dominance itself. Do these ideas resonate with you? If you found yourself nodding along or reflecting deeply on the traits and experiences we explored in this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Sigma male mindset isn't often talked about openly, and your perspective, whether you identify with it personally or have encountered in others, adds valuable depth to the conversation. Drop a comment below and let me know, which part hit home the most for you? Have you seen these traits in yourself or someone you know? Your insights help build a community where authenticity and growth are prioritized over popularity and performance. If you're drawn to this kind of introspective, no-nonsense content around Sigma males, psychological strength, emotional intelligence, and high-value living, there's more waiting for you. Explore the other videos on this channel for deeper dives, actionable insights, and raw truths that cut through the noise. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay unapologetically real. Until next time.